So coming to the classification of the cerebral palsy, so this classification depends upon the involvement of the limb. So just now we discussed cerebral palsy is nothing but the cerebral paralysis. So because of the damage of the brain tissues, so it's going to give the weakness or paralysis in the upper limb as well as trunk and also lower limb. So for example, if any injury in the right side of the brain, so those people are going to get the effects to the left side of the upper limbs as well as lower limbs. So the tissue damage in the right side of the brain, the effect is going to the left side. So because of the pyramidal tracts are going to be in the cross direction, the decussation will be in the opposite directions. The fibers from the right side, it is going to comes to the left side. From the left side, is going to the comes to the right side. So if any damage to the left side, the symptoms are going to comes to the right side. So that's the reasons that depends upon the involvement of the tissue damage, the symptoms are going to be varied. For example, here we are going to discuss about the depending on the topographical distributions, that is called as the monoplegic, diplegic or paraplegic, triplegic, and also hemiplegic, tetraplegic, and also double hemiplegia. So this here we have to understand what is mean by plegia, what is mean by plegia, what is mean by paresis. Here plegia means if any loss of function, completely loss of function is called as plegia. For example, hemiplegia. Hemi means half of the body is going to get the affected. So half of the body is going to be, for example, if you see the hemiplegia means half of the body, or for example, the right side of the body is going to get the paralysis. So that is complete loss of the paralysis, complete loss of the motor functions as well as sensory functions. So that is called the hemiplegia. So if you see here, so half of the body is going to be affected. So that is hemiplegia. Hemiparesis means, so that is a partial loss of the functions. So half of the body is going to be the upper limbs, trunk, and lower limbs are going to be is a partial loss of the functions. So that means they are unable to lift the complete the upper limbs or hand or is the lower limbs. But they are able to try to do the, if they are, for example, hemiplegia, they can lift up to some extent of the movement. They are going to do the some abnormal movement, but it's not complete movement. But that is called as the hemiparesis. Their hemiparesis means they are going to loss of the functions, but minimal loss of the functions. Normally, if you want to do the normal movement, so this is the normal movement. So they are going to do the movement, but up to some extent. So that is called as the hemiparesis. Paresis means partial loss of the functions. So same thing we have to apply for the monoplegia and monoparesis. Monoplegia means single leg is going to be single, either upper limb or either lower limb is going to be affected. In the upper limb is affected means either upper monoplegia, that is upper limb monoplegia or lower limb monoplegia. So hemiplegia means the half of the body is going to be affected. If the right side body is affected means the problem is in the left side of the brain. The problem in the left side of the brain, so it leads to the right side of the half of the body is going to be affected. In the same thing, so if you see the diplegia or tetraplegia, so if you see it here, diplegia means all four limbs are affected. So both legs are more affected than the arms. So here also going to be, if you see the diplegia, so it's going to be lower limbs are more affected, upper limbs also affected, but less amount of, that means the loss of function is more in the lower limbs than the upper limbs. So coming to the quadriplegia means all the limbs are going to be affected, upper limbs and also lower limbs, trunk also going to be affected. So total the body is going to be affected. So in case of the quadri means 4, tri means 3 limbs, di means 2. So if you see the diplegia, so both upper limbs and lower limbs are going to be affected, but lower limbs are going to be more affected. So that is called the diplegia. Triplegia means, if you see here, the 3 limbs are going to be affected. So both upper limbs affected, either one lower limb, or both lower limbs are affected, either one upper limb is going to be affected. So this is also triplegia, and this also triplegia. Either any two is going to be affected, upper limbs and lower limbs, but one limb is going to be spared, either upper limb or lower limb. And coming to the triplegia and diplegia and triplegia, and these are the depends upon the involvement of the tissue, involvement of the brain structures. So just now we discussed monoplegia means a single limb is affected. Diplegia affected means the lower limbs are affected with little or no upper body spasticity. Spasticity means the upper motor neuron type of the lesions. If anybody get the damage in the brain and spinal cord, so it may gives the abnormal muscle tone, so which is called as the spasticity. So it increasing the muscle tone, the muscle is becomes very tight and rigid. So that condition is called as spasticity. So the most common form of the spastic forms, so these are going to be the most people with a spastic diplegia are fully ambulatory, but are the tight and also have scissoring gait. So who are having the spastic muscles, so especially in the lower limbs, in the diplegia, so they are going to get the scissoring gait. Scissoring gait means the limbs are going to, lower limbs are going to be tight. So it comes like a crust. So that means they're going, the limbs are going to be is a cross positions. This is the right lower limbs. For example, if the right lower limb is a left lower limb, it's going to be cross. If they walk, they have to cross like a very close, a tight manners. So that is called as the scissoring gait. Gait means walking patterns. So you know scissor, right? How the scissors are going to be? Scissors are going to be in these positions. So if you want to cut something, so same thing. This cross leg is going to be if they walk, they're going to be like a cross leg postures. So that for the scissor, the pattern of the gait pattern is called as scissoring gait. So who are having the diplegia, the flexor knees, hips to varying degrees and also moderate to severe adduction are present. So because of the adductor tightness of the hip adductor muscles, so the hip adductors, the inside medial thigh part muscles are going to be tightness. So because of the tightness of the adductor muscles, so we'll get the scissoring gait. So this is going to be often is the nearsighted and also intelligence is unaffected in 1/3 of the spastic diplegias. Strabismus may be present. So who are having the diplegia, so they are going to be is their normal like an IQ is going to be normal. So their intelligence is not going to be affected. But only thing is they're having the scissoring, like a scissoring gait, especially the muscles are going to be tight because of the upper lower limbs involvement. And also because of the this lower limb involvement, like a diplegic in the scissoring gait, so they're unable to walk properly. They're going to walk like a scissoring gait. And also, especially 1/3 of the spastic diplegic patients are going to be strabismus. They are going to having a strabismus. Strabismus means it's going to get the squint. The eye, one eye is going to be squint appearance. So they can, if they look forward, so the one eye is going to be deviate to opposite side. So unable to, but they can see the direct like a straight positions, but the eye deviation is going to be opposite side. So they are looks like is the looking for someone like a is some other place. So that is called as strabismus, also called as squint. Normal terminology we call as squint in the eye. Coming to the hemiplegia, so hemiplegia is going to be the half of the body is going to be affected. So it's because of the problem. For example, right side is affected. So the problem lesion in the left side of the brain. So although they generally have the dynamic equinus on the affected side, so they are going to get the limb is going to be the equinus deformity. The foot is going to be equinus deformity. So because of the equinus deformity, so they're going to get the circumduction gait. If they walk, they're going to be like a rotatory like a half circle directions walking patterns. So they're going to get, so that the gait pattern is called as the circumduction gait. So coming to the triplegia, so 3 limbs are affected usually, both upper limbs in the one lower limbs. Sorry, both lower limbs and also one upper limb is going to be affected. So that is called as the triplegia. Quadriplegia means the all 4 limbs are the more or less equally affected. So upper limbs as well as the lower limbs are going to be affected. So least likely to be the able to walk, but here is going to be they're not going to get the complete the paralysis. So they're going to get the some like a walking difficult they can walk and also with support and also with like a supported devices, crutches and also walkers. So with but they're going to have children's having the tremors, that is the hemibalismus, and also impairs the normal movements. So hemibalismus means is a motor abnormality. So they are going to get the, if they walk, they are going to get the shivering. So they are going to get the shivering in the movements. So that is called the hemibalismus. So it's going to get the abnormal movement disorders who are having the basal ganglia lesions. So and also is impairs the normal movement while walking. So the normal movement is going to be altered.